Throughout NBA history, there have been a number of great playoff series, obviously, and I can't imagine trying to figure out which one was actually the best one, although there are some lists out there trying to rank the greatest series. Instead, I'm going to try to bring you guys a video series of NBA playoff recaps from some of the greatest series in the past that I can actually remember. With that out the way, I want to set the backdrop of the series I want to start with, which was the Eastern Conference Finals in the 2013, which was Miami Heat versus the Pacers. To get an understanding on why the series was so great, there's a bit of context that needs to be mentioned first. In the summer of 2010, LeBron James takes to national television to announce his decision to leave the Cavs to join the Miami Heat and essentially boasted about how many championships he would win in Miami. I won't spend much time there, as you probably already know, all of that. With the trio of him, D Wade, and Chris Bosh, they were obviously favorites to win the championship that year, and well, that didn't exactly pan out. He had a terrible outing in the 2011 finals, and undoubtedly the worst point of his career. He followed this loss up with great play in 2012 to win the MVP and win his first ever championship against the young OKC trio of KD, Russ, and Harden. But remember, I said he boasted about how many championships he would win? Well, winning one wouldn't be enough, right? Coming into the playoffs in 2013 as the number one seed after winning his second consecutive MVP this season, there's only one thing that he would have his eyes set on, which would be a second championship. The Heat were able to sweep the Bucks in the first round and then handle the Bulls in 5 in the second round, and that's where the story begins for the Heat. Going into the Eastern Conference Finals to face the Indiana Pacers was definitely not a team that was expected to be in the thick of things prior to the season start, but they actually were, right? This team had their own version of a big three that would actually challenge the Miami Heat. You've probably heard of a guy who once blew in LeBron's ears, right? Lance Make 'em Dance Stevenson. Before people looking at him as a meme character, he was one of a hell of a player for the Pacers, and arguably the second best player on this team on any given night. At 7'2", Roy Hibbert would be a match for production against Chris Bosh, but the guy who we're here to talk about was a rising star in this league and really had his breakout season this year, and especially this playoffs. See, what makes some series more memorable than others is the unexpected. Game winners, competitive play, the back and forth, scoring, lead changes, tough shot making, just to name a few elements that come to my mind in making some of these games more fun to watch. The expectations that I had back then watching this team as a young fan weren't that high. Paul George is on the record describing of how bad of a player he was in the 2011 and 2012 season. Nobody was expecting him to come in, play, and challenge LeBron the way that he did. Let's go ahead and see how these games actually played out. Like I mentioned earlier, it's easy to forget how good the Pacers' big three might have actually been, because like many other great teams in the past, they couldn't get over the hump and win a championship together. But I didn't mention the one person that many considered the X factor coming into this series, and that's David West. In Game 1, he would put up an impressive 26 points while Paul George had 27. On the Miami side, LeBron led all scorers with 30 points, while D Wade and Bosh put up 19 and 17 respectively. Many basketball fans and analysts talk about the team that wins the rebound battle are likely to win the game, right? Well, by halftime, the Pacers out-rebounded the Heat 19-12. Pacers would lead at the half 42-37. David West gave them 18 points by this point. It's funny to look at how the league has changed over the last decade, because you wouldn't expect a team to be winning at halftime with 0 made three-pointers, but, that is what it is, right? Anyways, the second half would only become more interesting because I don't think Miami was interested in going down 0-1 after somewhat coasting through the first couple rounds. But this is where things begin to turn up for the young Paul George. LeBron and Bosh combined for 19 points in the third quarter, and Paul George, who only scored 2 points the entire first half, put up a couple more attempts to get them 7 in the third quarter, while all the other starters combined for 5, while shooting 2 of 11 on field goal attempts. The back and forth play continued into the fourth. Now the Heat led 92-89 with only 11 seconds left by the end of the fourth quarter. The Pacers would scramble to try to get a shot off.
Back to George. Down to 5 seconds. Ball's deflected away. West. George fires for the tie. He's got it! George with a three-pointer to tie the game with 7/10 of a second remaining, and Miami calls for time.
And we're going to overtime, baby. It's at this time that you need your best players to take you there, and that must have been all that was on Paul George's mind as he led scorers in overtime with 8 of the Pacers' 10 points. He gets fouled on a three-point attempt to take the lead and knocks them all down. Then with 2.2 seconds left on the clock, Miami will get one shot to figure this out.
West plays the inbound. Battier gets it in. Here's James on the drive for the win. Got it off on time. LeBron James taking to the rim.
Miami wins, and the crowd goes wild in this overtime thrill that signals we are in for a good Eastern Conference final.
Very clearly, this is going to count.
Moving on to Game 2 with only one goal in mind for the Pacers, steal home court advantage. Going down 0-1 sucks, especially when you had it in the bag but overcommitted on LeBron, leaving him a lane to get to the basket for a game winner. But we got to get past that, right? Winning Game 2 would even the series and consider it now best of 5 and it's anybody's series again. The big men for the Pacers throughout the series continually will dominate the boards, with Game 2 being no exception. Another game where the rebound differential would favor the Pacers. Roy Hibbert would use his big body to lead the Pacers in scoring with 29 points this game. The strategy was clear: win while being aggressive. In today's NBA, you couldn't imagine a team only attempting 12 three-pointers for the whole game, but that's what the Pacers team did. Heading into halftime, the Pacers would only lead by 6 points. By the end of the third, we get two of the greatest highlights of the series.
Worldwide Ernie.
73,
Oh,
71,
give me
and
some.
here's
Birdman is down. Birdman is down.
Dead bird down. Dead bird down.
Oh,
Hey,
my
with Paul George is clearly...
My goodness, man. Moments following, we would get this. I said it once before, but...
That made it 76-71, and LeBron's answer is the deep three.
No, let's go at it, young fella.
I hadn't said much about D-Wade and Bosh thus far for this series, because, to be completely honest, they had been mainly neutralized, and here in the fourth, when they were needed most, like the Avatar, when the world needed them the most, they vanished. Wade puts up 0 in the fourth, and Bosh shoots 1 of 6 on field goal attempts, getting 5 total points. But this is why you're King James, right? Time to take us there if you're the Heat, right?
91. And then with the score 95-93, LeBron turns it over to West.
And yeah, LeBron's passing at the end of the game was questionable only because they really weren't double teaming him. They were staying home, and everybody's staying home, and all of a sudden he's still looking for other people. You are the person at this time.
There we go. 2 crucial turnovers that lead to the Heat losing Game 2, and now we're tied 1-1. Oh yeah, we definitely got to separate this into 2.